you've got to hand this in tomorrow when you do your quiz anyway, so I don't want you handing these notes in. I want you to hand in the notes that have your formulas on it, okay? So we're going to circle the ones that we do, but you're going to do it on your own sheet of paper, okay? And then when you go to do it, then you can mark all of those. Okay, so I'm going to give it, just because some of these have pictures, not I don't have to draw the pictures up there when you can see them on your paper. And you're going to want a calculator, so if you don't have a calculator, you have to grab one. Okay, so I've already gone through these. I already have the answers, but I'm going to wait for you guys to kind of shout it just so we make sure it is the same as what I've got on here, and then I'll write them on the board. But I want to make sure you're able to find the right steps on your calculator. Okay, so on your notes, you're circling these because these are the ones that we'll do as notes, so you don't need to rewrite them on the actual note packet. You're writing it on your notes sheet that have your vocab, okay? So we're going to do 41, 42, 45, 46, 47. Okay, so that was 41, 42, 45, 46, 47, and then 52 and 55. Okay, and then when we get done, if you need to finish your test from yesterday, you'll do that first before you finish the rest of the problems, okay? Okay, so we're going to start on 41. Okay, so number 41, it says a rectangle pyramid has a base of area. So the base area, and I'm just going to write this as notes so that I don't have to write anything else. So the base was 96.1. The height, so I'm going to put H, is 11.9. And they want us to find the volume of the pyramid to the nearest 0.1 unit. Okay? So volume of the pyramid, okay, we've got the length times width times height, okay, that you're going to end up dividing by what? 3, okay, which is our first formula that's up there. Okay, length times width, we were just talking about that. When you have a rectangle and we're finding the area of the rectangle, it's length times width, right? Well, they already told us what the base of that triangle is. So they already found this part for us. Okay, so there's not a length and there's not a width. This part is actually the base. Okay, because they already found it for us. They simplified 2 parts of it. Okay, so we're replacing that with the 96.1, and then we would multiply that times the height, which is 11.9. Okay, and then do that first. Order of operations, simplify the numerator before you go to the denominator, and then divide by 3. Tell me what you get. 3.2, because remember they want you to go to 1 decimal spot. Okay, so 381.2. Good so far. That one's fairly easy. Okay, just know that the length and the width, if they tell you the base, that's the L and the W. They just simplified for you. Okay, so we're going to number 42 now. Did I go too fast? Somebody need that? If I go too fast, let me know. And I recorded it too, so if you need to back on that. Okay, so 42, we have the cone. Okay, so the area of the cones, that's the one that has on the board, I have it in green, it's the second one down. Okay, that's the one that has the square root part. Okay, so area of a cone is I, R, and then parentheses, R plus, and then underneath the square root is H squared plus R squared, and then that's the end of it. Okay, so really the only letters we're dealing with are R and H, right? So on 42, did they give us R?
No. Oh, yes.
Yes, so in the drawing, they put it in the drawing, which was what? 20. Okay, so we have the R, which is 20. And then height is always that forms 90 degrees with that side, so the height on that one is going to be 21. Okay. And then this one, and again, in this section, I'll tell you which one's to leave in pi and which one's not to leave in pi. And on this one, they left it in the pi format. Okay, so we don't need to plug in 3.14. Okay, so we'll just add that to the end. We'll solve everything else. Okay. All right, so we're plugging it in. So I got A, and the pi is going to stay there. And then my board just R is 20. Okay, and then R is 20 again, plus. Okay, then underneath here, H is 21 that we're going to square. And then R is 20 that we're going to square. So we really need to know our order of operations. Like, what do we solve first before we start doing square roots and stuff, okay? So parentheses is always the first thing in order of operations, okay? Well, we have multiple things happening in parentheses. So the next thing is exponents. Well, we have exponents. So that means we've got to simplify this 21 squared and this 20 squared first, okay? So 21 times 21 is going to give you 441, okay? 441. This is still underneath the radical. Okay, and then 20 times 20 is going to be 400. Okay, now you can add those. Okay, so you would get 841. I'm just making sure you guys are getting this. Okay. And now you can take the square root of 841. 29. This is where we're at now. Okay, if you did the distributive property, we could do that. You're still going to get the same answer if we just added those two together and then multiplied it times 20. So if I did the distributive property, you're going to get 400, right? When I distribute to this one, you get 580. Okay, and then add those two together, which would give you 980. And then we just put the pi onto it because we're not multiplying times the pi. Okay, so that would be our final answer. Just don't forget the pi. And again, I'll go through on each one of these to let you know which ones are leaving in pi and which ones they aren't. Yeah?
Why is 29
Taking the square root of, so it was this part right here that we simplified. It was still in the parentheses. So we squared that, right? Squared that and got that. Then we added those two together to get this. And then we took the square root of 841, which is 29. Okay. Okay. So next one we're going to do is 45. Okay, so looking at 45, you're finding the surface area of the cylinder to the nearest square, and that one they want us to use the actual pi. Okay, so that's the right cylinder, so right up above the square root one that we had, the 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared. That's the one that we're using. So 2 pi r h, that is the exponent, h plus 2 pi r squared. Okay, so again, r's and h's, and then other than this one, they want us to use the 3.14. Okay, so in the drawing, which one is my r? The 4. Okay, the h. And then we're using 3.14. Okay, so I have everything I need. I'm going to start writing it all together so we can do our order of operations. So I'd have 2, and they want us to use 3.14. Okay, and then the next one is the r, so the r is 4, and then times the 8.6. Okay, you get used as long as you don't lose track of it, like dots in between or times symbol in between. Okay, plus, and then 2, and then pi is going to be 3.14 again. And then r squared, so we would do 4 squared, and since there's no other exponents that are in there, I'm going to go ahead and do it right now. Okay. So this would be 4 squared, okay, so 4 squared, I could write it there, or I could go ahead and do it, so 4 times 4 would make it 16, okay. So order of operations, we need to do all of our multiplications separately before you can add the two together. Okay, so you're gonna go this times this times this times this, and actually write the number. Try it, tell me what you get. Okay. Now you gotta do this times this times this. Good. Now you can add that to that one. This is order of operations, otherwise you will not get the right answer. Okay, and so on this one, on the key, they actually, so it'd be right if you just wrote that, but they rounded it up to a whole number. So the proper answer is this. So again, when we go to grade, as long as you round it properly, if you're not sure, you're supposed to round up or round down, but just leave it. Okay, because if they don't specify it, you're not going to know. But on this one, just because I saw the answer key, that's what they have, was 317. You can type in the whole thing?
Yeah.
And it does the order of operations?
Yeah, 316.712.
A lot of calculators won't, because they'll do left to right, and then they'll go +2, and then times the, yeah. So most calculators don't know order of operations. Okay, so moving on to 46. So this one was like the very first one that we did, except they didn't say base. We actually have the length and the width and the height. Okay, so on number 46, you've got a pyramid, and it's a rectangle square pyramid down at the base. Okay, so we've got to find the length times the width times the height. Okay, so this is number 46. So length times width times height, and then we're going to divide it by 3. Okay, so the length and the width really doesn't matter which one's which. Okay, but what are the two numbers for length and width? On that drawing, the numbers 11 and 10. So it really doesn't matter which one you write here. Some people take it one way, some it doesn't matter. So it's going to be multiplication. So 11 times 10, and then the height is going to be your 12. That is always the one, because they'll throw in some extra numbers on some of these. That's always the one that forms the 90 with that side. Okay. All right. So that times that times that divided by 3. Good. These will be your easiest ones. But that one actually gave you the length and the width. Okay. I'm kind of going out of order. So we're going to jump to 52. I'm going to have you try 52. Just so you can see how that's related to the octagonal one. So number 52, an octagonal pyramid has a base area of some base, and I'm just going to put B on this one, 86.5. And the height of the pyramid is 15.5, and they want us to find the volume of the pyramid to the nearest 0.1, okay? So what we had mentioned before, when we had the right pyramid, it was length times width times height. And I said on that very first one, it was actually a rectangle instead of an octagonal one. They figured out the base and the height, or the length and the width for you, okay? So this is the same thing. It's just that for some reason, people see octagon and then they freak out because it's not a rectangle, okay? It's still the same thing. So they took, if you look at the formula, it's base times height divided by 3, because they find out with an octagon how to find the base for you, okay? So you don't have to figure out, because it would be different. It's not a rectangle, okay? So it's just base times height divided by 3. And again, I haven't seen anything where you had to solve for the base. That would be that other formula that we didn't write, okay? So you're just going this number times this number and dividing that by 3. And you get 9. Yep. So 446.9. They wanted you to go with one decimal spot. So you would look at the number next to it if you need to remember. Okay. Now jumping back to number 47. Okay, this one I'm actually going, is it drawn on there? We're actually going to draw this one. Okay, so just draw it like an oval or a circle, and then at your corners you're going to come up, make a triangle. Okay, and then from the vertex of your triangle, you're going to come straight down, okay, to the middle, come over this way. Okay, so it says, find the exact total surface area of a cone that has a slant height. So it's not height, it's a slant height of 16 and the radius of 9. So it's not the height is this one right here. The slant height is this one right here. Okay, so what shape is this right here?
A right angle.
A right triangle. Okay, so when we have a right triangle, there, right, you're going to use the a squared plus b squared equals c squared, because we need this to plug into our formula. We need height, not the slant height, okay? So this bottom number was 9, and this one was 16, okay? Remember, this is the one that matters when we plug it into our formula, and that is which one of those letters? C. C. Okay, so this one doesn't matter, this one does. Okay, so we know we need to square 16. I'm just going to put that as the A or the B, it doesn't matter. Okay. And I'm, instead of putting A and B, because we're solving for height, I'm going to put H here. Okay, but this is the formula that we learned from first semester. Okay. I just replace it because I'm not solving for A, I'm trying to find height. Okay, so you're squaring 16, you're squaring 9, but to solve for height, what are you doing with those two answers? Subtracting to the other side, okay? So do that first. Tell me what you get. So we're finding h squared. Don't find the square root yet.
175, I got 175.
175. Okay. So to solve for h, because that's what we need is the height to plug into our formula, we're going to do the opposite of square, which is to take the square root, okay, to get h. And we're going to use just one decimal spot.
13.2.
13.2. Okay. Right? Is that what you got?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure you said 15.2. Okay, we good up to there? Okay, so now we have what we need to plug into the formula. I'm going to scoot this down, so if anybody needs it, let me know. Okay, so this is that our longest formula of the square root thing. Okay, so I've got, this is the one we're using. So pi. Okay, next thing is r. Okay, what was our radius? 9. Okay, then the next thing is r again, so that's 9 plus. Okay, underneath. Okay, and when we did this, I wasn't getting the exact answer, so I'm showing you, because some of them will give you exact answers, so I wanted to make sure that we did this. I wasn't getting the exact answer that they had, so what they did, because it wasn't a perfect square, where they gave an exact answer, they left this here. Okay, so I want you to write this. You're going to write 175 squared. Plus, and then the other one was r squared, so 9 squared. And that's it. Okay, so now flashback. Yeah, go ahead.
If it's not a whole number, then you just put it as it was.
Put it back as it was.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to make sure you knew how to solve for that, because most of them will be.
Yeah.
Okay, what did we say when we went to solve this to get this right here? What did we say was the opposite of squaring?
Square root.
So square and square root cancel each other out, okay? So right here, I have a square and a square root. So technically, it cancels itself out. I don't need to square it and then square root it again, because it'll take me back to the original, okay? So I'm going to So the square gets rid of the square root just for this number, okay? So this would come down as 175. if I were to square 175 times 175 and then take the square root of that big number, it's going to take me back to 175. So you're simplifying. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You can go 175 times 175 and hit the square root of it, and it would take you back to it. We're not in it, so hold on for that question. Okay, so now we need to square our 9. Okay, so 9 squared, okay, would give me 81. Add those two numbers together. Okay, take the square root of that number. 16. Okay, so where we are at right now, that is 16. We still have the 9. And then the 9 on the outside. And my pi, this one they left in pi again. So 9 times 9, 81. 9 times a 16, if you're using the distributive property, it would be 141. Or 144, sorry. So adding 81. Okay, so this gave me 81. And that gave me, what did I say, 144? Okay, adding those two together, you should have got 225. And don't forget, we didn't have the pi that's still in there. Yes.
So what I was kind of confused about is we have the 175 in the square root, and then when we put it into the formula, we like have lost it. It's like not there anymore. Is it because it's already in the square root?
Because it's already in the square root.
So we just drop it, okay.
Right. Because you'll end up doing too many steps to get it back to where it was at before.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And again, you're not going to, this happens to just be on this one. It's not going to happen on every single one. You're going to have, like, say it might have been square root of 36. You're going to have 6 that you're plugging in for that first one, and then 9 for the second one. It's not always going to be those decimals. So if it doesn't wind up being that one, then just write this inside there. But the square root of that, when you're squaring it, it's just going to take it back to that so that you won't square it again.
Okay, I see.
Okay. Okay, so that one's done. Okay, so that was, I rolled up. Which one was that one? 47. And we did 52, right? So we just have 55. Okay, so last one. Okay, so 55, it says, what is the maximum volume of a pyramid that can fit inside a cube that has the sides of 18 centimeters long? Okay, so if it's a cube, what do I know about the sides of a cube or sides of a square, if I know one of them? They're all the same. Okay, so what we're visually looking at, you're going to test your drawing skills here. Okay, we've got a cube, okay? And then, here we go, ready for it? I want you all to do an on this. Oh! Okay, alright, so the cube, this would be 18, this would be 18, right? And then this side would also be 18, because everything, it's a cube. All the sides are congruent to each other.
Right.
Okay, and they told us on 55, it says, what is the maximum volume of a pyramid that can fit inside a cube? Okay, so we have a pyramid. I'm going to draw a looking like to get this. And again, it would be going 3D. I'm not going to make it 3D. Okay, so volume of a cone is what? No. Wait, did I ask for volume of a cone? Pyramid. Volume of a pyramid. Okay, so our pyramid formula is length times width times height divided by 3. Okay, so our length is what? Our height is? And our width is 18. Okay, and then we're going to divide it by 3.
1944.
Okay. So 1,900. Okay, so all of our numbers were given to us. There just happen to be this. Yes? So we got, yes,
For problems like this, can we just cube this side and then divide by 3?
yes.
Okay.
18 to the third power, yeah. Yeah. So don't, for some reason, the triangle part throws it off. And people think they need to find like a radius and a height, and the height is actually the cube, because you're fitting it inside it. So the height is actually that. Okay, we good?
So this part right here.
Right. So if you were the length of this is your height.
And then this is the
Right.
right.
Yeah. And real, yeah. Because it would be 3D. It would be going, and I can't. But it would be coming here. Because it's a square at the bottom, and then you have the in the middle. Okay, so those that are done, you're finishing trying some of these. Okay, I think I did a sample of every single one. I tried to look through it, make sure I caught everything. The rest will just be repeats of what I already did on board. Okay, those that didn't finish the test, you're going to do that first. So you'll put up all your notes. Some of you said you were going to get your con handed in, so make sure I've got those. You did give it to me yesterday.